Hey there, good morning, folks, and happy Sunday to you. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. Coming at you live with this week's video watch list for next week. What an amazing week in the markets we had. We've got some big earnings coming out next week in the tech sector. We've had an explosive move to the upside. Wouldn't be surprised to see somewhat of a pullback, especially if any of the big tech companies disappoint. But we have broken out of this range, it appears, and we could be looking for some more upside in the markets. And uh, I think if um, if we get some more good earnings, the party could continue. So got Greece behind us a bit, and China seem the measures they've taken seem to be working. So not a lot out there that could, well, I shouldn't say that. At any time, something could come out and change the direction. But for right now, looking pretty darn strong. Let's go ahead and get started with stocks to watch for next week. This Cala, I have a lot of biotechs. Big biotech conference this weekend. We could see some more strength in the biotech sector. It remains incredibly strong. So I do have quite a few biotech names in this list. Cala is one of them. Had a nice little bounce on Friday with some pretty good volume. I like round number rolls, looking for a break over $9 with conviction. I think it come up and test somewhere around 1090 in that range. Could be fun, worth keeping an eye on. WYY testing all-time highs. I do like the security sector, cybersecurity sector. I did start a position in CIBR, which is a new ETF for like hack at 19 and some change. I still like the sector. WYY closed nearly at the high of the day. Full disclosure, I do still have some lotto shares in this stock, but I may be looking to take for a day trade also on any kind of a red to green move next week. MDRX, gave early guidance. They did not report, but they gave some guidance, which was better than I think the street anticipated. Nice big volume day. Gap up. May need to consolidate a bit. Uh, don't know if it'll come back down and test to fill this gap, but I may start to look dip my toe somewhere around 1460 or so if it were to break down there. For potential red to green move, I'd be looking at MDRX. Probably more of a swing than a day trade for me. ALDX, another one looking for a potential $9 roll. Um, I think if it breaks over 9, it can come up to test 10. Probably likely to have some resistance here at this trend line, but I do like the look of ALDX. XNPT, another one that you know broke over this trend line, closed nearly at the high of the day. Volume was increasing, so looking for this to potentially continue next week. SRPT, I had this big gap and has been consolidating basically, right in the $33 range. If it takes out 33 with conviction, it could get fun. I think it's worth paying attention to. MRGE, looking for a $5 roll on merge. It can be a pop and flopper. I think this was an earnings thing back here. I'm not really sure. With as always with my stocks to watch, make sure you check to see if there's any catalysts that are right on the horizon, like earnings, before you go getting involved. But I like merge for crossover 5. THLD, big spot here. Basically, you want to see it break over $4.60 or so with conviction. It could get pretty fun. Flat top breakout type setup. Decent look. CERS, another one for potential flat top breakout. 6 test. It takes out 6. I think maybe it can go back up and test somewhere in $7 range. NAVB. This one has had already a very nice run. It needs to consolidate. It may be consolidating for a while here, but it's worth watching. I think eventually this thing wants to go test $2. If you could get it somewhere around $1.70 or so, maybe to start dipping the toe. If that held up as support, I would look at maybe dipping my toe there. But NAVB has got an interesting look. ONTY, this thing's got several gaps on the daily, but it's holding up fairly well. Had some, some big volume spikes here. The volume has really pulled back quite significantly as it consolidates, but looking for a $4 roll with conviction. I think it gets fun. EXEL, another one for a potential $4 roll. A lot of bios in this list, but break over 4, this thing could get fun. It has had a nice little run. Look for it to consolidate a bit and then maybe take out 4, but it looks good. ISNS, it's been on my list. I missed it. I missed this trade. Aggravated with that. I think they sold off a division or something here. Now it's consolidating right at $4 level. Looking for it to take out 4 with some conviction and some volume behind it. But you got to be careful. Like I said, very thin name, but nice looking chart. CLDX, holds this uptrend really well. Looking for a trend line break. I think it maybe goes back up and test the $30 mark. Pretty hot look, worth keeping an eye on. NEO, this thing had this amazing run, this nice little pop here. Now it's flagging out a bit. I think they have earnings relatively soon. It's trading near all-time highs, $7. If it takes out 7 with conviction, this thing could really rip. But it might need a bit more time to consolidate and maybe waiting on earnings before it actually makes another move. If it were to pull back into this $5.82 range, I may dip my toe for a swing. FOMX for a $12 roll. It's up 1, 2, 3, 4 days in a row. It might need a bit of time to consolidate before it takes out 12, but it's got a nice look on that FOMX. GMED, testing all-time highs. If it takes out 27 with any kind of conviction, this thing could get fun. For a day trade, I would absolutely keep an eye on this for a break over 27. MITK, financial sector is hot area to be. This thing could be a very frustrating stock, but 4 is a big spot for it. If it could take out 4 with conviction, I think it could be good for a nice little run up into the $5 range. I think you get a dollar move out of that thing. More of a swing stock, but you got to be really patient with it because it can be a very frustrating stock. ATVI, gaming sector's hot. Take-Two Interactive had a nice little pop. Activision, I'm not sure when they report, but if this thing takes out $26 with conviction, you're testing all-time highs. Very hot looking daily. Probably more of a swing than a day trade, but very, very hot. Worth keeping an eye on. ATVI, RDN, testing $19. It actually pulled back a bit, but it's in a very nice uptrend. Look for it to take out 19 with conviction. I think it continues to go. WWE, this thing is a cult stock. People love this thing. Got a little cup with the handle thing going on here. $18 is the spot. If you can take out 18 with conviction, I think you get a nice little pop in WWE. SSNI, this was a earnings winner when it had this gap and go. It's pulled back. I don't know that it's going to come back and fill this gap. It looks like maybe this 1150 is holding as support. So, this may not be a bad time to dip your toe. If this thing breaks on earnings, I think it goes back up and tests $14, somewhere in that range. ANY is in a nice little uptrend. It had a break over $5. It's pulled back. It basically came down, tested this trend line, bounced off. It had a nice little reversal day on Friday. Looking for this thing to take out 565, 570, take out $6. I think maybe if it does that, it heads up into the $7 range. I like the look of ANY. VNDA. I like VNDA. It's testing this trend line. It actually broke above it. Tagged 14, basically pulled back. Looking for it maybe to dip my toe somewhere around $11.54 or so. If it were to pull back there and hold the support, might dip my toe. Looking for a trend line break, at least to go back up and test that $14. FCSC, it would have been better to buy this thing at support right around $5 for a bounce. But it's testing 6, looking for a 6 roll, take out this trend line. Need some real volume though. behind the move if I were to take it for a day trade. RGEN, $42. If it could take out 42 with conviction, this thing could have a nice little run. That's where I'm looking for it to break out over 42. MPTN, look, semiconductor space, I think, is one that you probably need to avoid. It does not look healthy. However, this is looking fairly compelling to me. If it breaks over 9 with conviction, I would likely take this for a day trade, but I probably would not hold it overnight. XOMA, I actually took this for a day trade. On a pullback here, it was like a 406 dip buy. Nice little run. Still have some lottos in this thing, but it's got, I think, some important data coming out next week. So this thing could either, you wait. I could wake up and it's $8, or I could wake up and it's $2, or even lower. So definitely be cautious with this name, but I think it is one to watch for next week. See what that data has to say. And that's it. That is all I have on my watch list for this week. Had some other good names in the live session, but if y'all don't have the time, completely understand. This is the list that I am paying attention to for next week. I think the markets are going to be pretty fun for the next few months, but we'll see. Be careful out there. Don't feel compelled to trade if you don't have the right setup. Do not chase. And that's it. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thanks for taking the time to watch the video, and I'll see y'all next week.